on behalf of the Institute for Leadership and Strategic Foresight, welcome to So You Want to Be the Chief, a podcast for leaders.
Well, it's another great day to be alive. And as you get older, you will understand what I'm talking about. I have my number one protege on the show today, mostly because he's my boss. He and the institute that he owns sponsors this program. And first of all, I want to thank you, Lugo, for doing that, because we have a couple of hundred people out there that listen to us every week and watch these videos every week. So thank you for that. And he is José Lugo Santiago, PhD, Chief Master Sergeant, retired. Do you have any other titles, Lugo?
Yeah, I guess a few of them, right?
Yeah.
So chief futurist mostly is the one that I use, right? Because I deal with, trying to help organizations deal with decision science. How do we go from going this way or going this way? And it's never binary. So there's just multiple ways and complexities in making decisions. So that's why we help them based on where do we see they could go.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And the organization is the Institute for
the Institute for Leadership and Strategic Foresight.
Okay, because I forget too many words. There's too many phrases there. You'll understand one day. But once again, thank you for supporting the program. I wanted to talk to you, first of all, to say thank you. And secondly, you have published a couple of books. We do another podcast that is called Leaders and Futures, where we have or will focus a little bit on the book of Six Sigma. I can't even say it, but that's some very, very smart thinking. To me, it seems left brain stuff that's very important. And we'll be on Leaders and Futures. That's a podcast that you're welcome to join us on Apple Podcasts. We'll be talking about that more directly here in the next few weeks. But you also just published a book called Stars and Stripes. Tell me a little bit about that, and thank you for including me in that. I know that my chapter is the best one.
Wow. Yeah, Lugo, absolutely.
Lugo, look at me in the eye, man, and tell me, yes, it's the best one.
That's right. So no, it's let's talk about Stars and Stripes. We just published it the week of Christmas, and we this was Major General Spacey's idea for quite some time. He's been talking to me, and we talk about leadership from time to time. But one of the things that we were talking about is how do we develop the right kind of leadership, both on the officer side and on the enlisted side. And how do we create the next general, the next chief, and how do we prepare them, and what are building blocks to that? And all of us have gone through that process in many different ways. And I think that instead of telling people what is the best way, what is the path, I think what we wanted to do was to demonstrate, that there are many different paths. And so he talked with me about this, and I'm gonna confess that at the beginning I did not think this was a good idea, because I was thinking, okay, another book on leadership. How many books on leadership? I mean, there's millions and millions of books in leadership, and so why would this book going to be any different? And that's why at the beginning it didn't. And so one time we were looking at some of the things that were happening in our armed forces. And then we were talking about this stuff about what is the right leader, right? There's just not one way. You cannot just really you cannot manufacture a leader. And so then we went back to the idea of Stars and Stripes. And so then we started sketching, okay, well, this is what we would do. This is what we would do. And so I was sold at that point, because the point about building leaders for the future is that each one of them must be a unique being, and every single one of them are going to experience the world very different. But if we can combine the entire wisdom of that experience in one place from multiple different perspectives, so now we are looking at a multi-dimensional leadership opportunity and experience in one place. And so that's how Stars and Stripes came about. So the book title is Stars and Stripes, Generals, Chiefs, and Leadership in 500 words. If you let a chief talk, right, or a general talk, they're going to be talking for a ton of time. And the point is, nowadays, what I want me, I guess let me talk from my experience. What I want to have is not the sermon, right? I am not interested in a long sermon. I am more interested in seeing a sermon in action. And so that was the whole idea, was to give me exactly what I need, from your experience that really impact you as a leader. Give it to me in 500 words, and then I will make a decision that I'll move on. And so we ask every chiefs and every general to just speak to us in 500 words. What was the most impactful? And so we assemble a great cohort of generals and chiefs that we know that have made a big impact across the Air Force, from 4-star generals all the way to so we have 4 stars to 1 stars, and chief master sergeants of all kinds, command chiefs, and functional chiefs and leaders in their functional specialties. And the point about this is not only you get the 500 words, because on one side of the book you get their photo and you get their 500 words of wisdom, but then on the other side of the page you see their history, right? You have a little blurb bio as to what they did in the Air Force, and then their education, and then their assignments. And I thought this was important because when we're looking at the leadership wisdom, leadership experience, it has to be contextualized. So then you get to, I guess, fill in within the gray. And a lot of times you hear a person speaking about something, but once you understand where this person come from, what the kind of challenges this person had to go through, where was this wisdom experience, then you have the whole package. I mean, your eyes can really get to be opened. And so we hope that was the experience that we were going to see people having as they're reading through the pages of Stars and Stripes.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, Lugo, again, I thank you for including me in this. 500 words is not much. I get warmed up in 500 words. I've written 18 books, I think, that you actually have published for me. 500 words was tough for this old chief to combine, to compress, and to make it a decent thought. Now, so having said that, everyone should go out and buy my books and yours. But hey, I got to pay the taxes anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, there's going through it, looking through it, a diversity of experiences. Now, and I don't know that this matters a lot, but there are going to be some people that are going to say, yeah, all these people are retired. Well, we had to do that because of things that are happening. We and as we should be good warriors and not say things that we shouldn't say. Our opinions sometimes are our opinions. You can go online and find those opinions, but they shouldn't be published in a sense. And we didn't want to publish that, meaning for us to endorse those ideas specifically.
As a view of the Air Force, but yes, it is the view of these airmen, right, experience in the Air Force. Correct?
Yeah.
As they reflect back.
Yes. Yeah. And I know that having at least watching you go through the process, it's a tough thing to get, especially and this is we've had this conversation. I remember, I don't even remember where, out on a parking lot, where you and I were talking about leading leaders. That's a tough thing, and that's really what you had to do, or at least manage them, herd these cats to write those stories, because everybody's busy, everybody commits, and then not necessarily lives up to it as they said. So congratulations on getting. And how many stories are there? I don't remember. I didn't.
Yeah, we have 50 chiefs. Well, we have 51 chiefs and 51 generals in the book. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all we want to have.
Yeah. Congratulations, and thank you to all of those chiefs and generals who contributed to it, because there are some really great thoughts and great experiences. And I think the General Spacey said something about us going out and doing some speaking. I mean, that not all at one time, of course.
Yes, yeah. So I think they have some organizations that are interested in having these leaders go out and share their leadership experience with different organizations and different forums on Air Force bases and so on. But the just one thing that I wanted to point out, we don't get anything, not a penny goes to any of us, any of these leaders, nobody.
Wait, what?
Yeah, not
Well, you
a
didn't
penny.
tell. Hey,
Yeah.
you didn't tell my people that, man.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. No, we did make it clear, and the reason for that is because we wanted this to benefit our airmen, and so every book that sells, the any proceeds after obviously all the printing that happens, that that needs to happen. Obviously, you need to pay for that. Uh, and it's distributed to Amazon, so Amazon distributes and gets paid through all of that. All of it goes to the Air Force Aid Society, and Air Force Aid Society has been helping airmen in their families and soldiers since the 1940s. And so it was actually established in 1941. I think that's when it was established. And so everything goes to them. And so we're proud that anytime people purchase a book, that the Air Force Aid Society benefits from it. And actually, the name is Air and Space Forces Aid Society. That's their
Yeah.
new name as of December 15th. That's their
Okay.
new name.
Good. And a good place to if you got some extra money, always send it to, especially the
Yes.
what is it? There's an emergency fund, I think, that that's really critical. Having been in family support, there are a lot of emergencies that come up that organization helps to take care of, that maybe other organizations cannot legally do. So a great organization to help out. Lugo, going back to what I was saying earlier, and again, the process of writing this book, and obviously, and you know this because you sponsor the program, the purpose of this program is to help chiefs become better chiefs, leaders become better leaders. I think that, how can I put this? I don't want to judge anybody, and I don't want to admonish anybody, but be a good follower. A chief is expected to be a good leader, and I don't know many that are not. But sometimes, especially as you and I have led other chiefs, we really need help in being good followers at that level, because we're leading our own organization, or we're leading our own people, or squadron, or whatever it may be. But we have to, we talk on the Leaders and Futures podcast about futures. Well, we have to agree to what that future is, and then do what we need to do to get it accomplished. And sometimes it's tough because again, you and I and a lot of people who listen are nodding their heads, are saying, yeah, been there, done that. Having been, and I think I've mentioned it to you several times, that I've always led, always. And the toughest group I ever led was the Chiefs group, because a lot of times they had this perspective that they were the leaders. Yes, they are the leaders in their respective organizations, but when it comes to who's going to lead this organization that we say is in this instance the Chiefs group, it's me. I got picked for however it happened. I got picked. So please be good followers. What's your perspective on that?
My perspective is that the best way to lead is to understand what the final outcome should be, and then you align. Then you find alignment when you do that. When you understand what is the outcome that we expect to have in the end, and then a lot of other things become very clear. And what I believe that happens is, in every effort, we do it to achieve a particular goal. When that goal is not clear, then egos get in the way. People then substitute their personal agendas for, uh, you know, uh, the goal of whatever effort you're involved, and I believe that's when things happen. I mean, it's clear for the Chiefs is this is very the answer, in my opinion, should be very simple. You're not going to get promoted. You're done. You're not getting promoted. You can get demoted, but you could not get promoted. I don't care if you're talking about, being, if you want to be a command chief or, whatever. That's not a promotion. That's just a position. And I think that a lot of chiefs forget that. And that's just a position. And I think the reason why you're in that position is because you have some kind of talent that is needed at that level. And so your job is to ensure that you can, just unleash all that special talent into that particular unit and organization. And that organization is going to ask you to do many different things. And in some cases, you are leading efforts. In other cases, you're supporting efforts. In other cases, you are partnering with others, getting resources. You got to understand what is the outcome that you're expecting, and then do whatever you need to do. If that is to follow, and that is to lead, if that is to just bring people together to then figure things out, then you have to do it. But you have to be able to give clarity to the organization, and you're not gonna be able to give clarity to the organization if you are just thinking about you. And so that's the in my opinion, my perspective in regards to leading, following. There's no right recipe. Well, the recipe is to understand what is it that the organization needs from you, and give it to that organization. And forget about who's going to take credit, because really, if you're the one wanting to have credit for something, in the end, you will receive discredit. Because everybody is going to be talking about you, about how difficult you were, and stuff like that. And now I'm not talking about being able to confront people at times, and deconflict uh, things. That's going to require some different kind of energy. But I think in the aspect of the chief got to do a ton of education, because it has to be persuasive. You always got to be selling the best course of action. And so, if you're not a good salesman, then it's time to develop those skills, because that's, and by at this point, that should not be an issue. You were an NCO, you continue to be a non-commissioned officer. So NCOs are doing that from, since the moment they pin on the staff sergeant stripe, they're constantly selling their best course of action. At this point, it should be pretty polished.
Yeah, and what's important about that too, Lugo, is and I was thinking the other day, what brought you and me together is words, books, knowledge. I remember you tell the story about me. Are you coming up to my office? Or I gave you the As a Man Thinketh, I think. That was the first book I ever gave you. And yeah, it was a book, but the most important thing was there were thoughts in there. As a Man Thinketh, because those words are either indicative of what we think or inspire us to think a certain way. And I think an effective chief continues to learn, and books is one way. Again, going back to the Stars and Stripes, that's a good way to go back to the way it was, the experiences that the authors of those articles had, and learn from that, so that you can be able to share it with their followers, and don't quit, because sometimes I think I get the impression that chiefs think that they know everything when they get there. Well, and I think that's one of in fact, this book is based on my book, So You Want to Be the Chief. Either lesson number 1 or number 2 is you don't know everything. You don't. You will never know everything. But if you're going to be an effective leader of any sort, you know a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of work done. I know that you're still doing it by knowing people. I don't know, and especially nowadays, technology is Six Sigma. I have no idea what that means. But if somebody calls me and asks me, "Hey, Chief, I need some help with this Six Sigma thing," I know the expert. Let me connect you. I don't need to know that stuff. I need to know who knows it, and pass them on to Lugo Santiago. Chief retired. I remember when I first met you, Lugo. I can see
retired.
you. I remember, and and I've said this many times. I think you can validate it. There's something about a person that you know that hits you, that you know you're going to have a connection with, a relationship for a long, long time, and you know that they're going to be stars, shining stars. That's what I call you, and that's what happened between you and me. And I know it. Your story is almost. I sometimes think, well, man, I shouldn't have been so rude, but I had other people to take care of too. So,
Right.
So forgive me for that. Publicly, I apologize. I've already forgotten it, but
That was quick. That's
that
good.
was quick. Yeah,
Been a few
but
years.
yes, gosh, but anyway, I think it's a smart thing for us chiefs to take people under our wing. Don't wait for them to come ask us to be their mentor or their coach. Just do it. That's the way I was brought up. I had a lot of mentors, and I made chief at Maxwell, where all the best chiefs in the world were there, and none of them asked me if they could coach me. They just did, and I'm so grateful for them. So yeah, we know stuff, share it. I call that air power, HEIR power. Share it, and don't wait for people to be asking for it, because sometimes they don't even know what the questions are. That's the thing with AI. By the way, I've gotten into AI a little bit. I've done some work with it in the last few weeks, and it's interesting, but it's amazing. You better know the question. If you don't know the question, AI ain't going to give you the answer, or they're going to give you some crap, something that's off the way out, and then you got to recorrect them or revector them. But interesting stuff. And I guess because you've been telling me this for a couple of years, that I got to get into that AI stuff and at least learn a little bit. So one way or another, I will. But my best AI is always all in. That's my favorite AI. If you can do that, we can figure things out. Well, Lugo, best of luck with the book.
Thank you.
And with the tours and all that kind of stuff. Keep us informed. Maybe every once in a while we'll have another show that you can tell us what's going on, and especially with if there are some events, I'll call them events, where some of these generals and chiefs get together and share their stories with others, with the youngsters. But I tell you what, every year, Lugo, that youngsters gets bigger.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, Chief. I appreciate having me, and for all the listeners, just thank you for what you do, or what you have done in the Air Force, and what you're going to be doing somewhere else. I think it doesn't matter where you are, serving as a chief, either retired, or an active duty, whatever. We hope that you take what you have and you share it with others, just like you were saying, because our nation needs this type of leadership. And I would say the chief, where he leads, it's a very unique position, and there's nothing like that nowhere else.
Yeah. Yep. Well, keep at it. The things are going to get worse and things are going to get better. Just keep at it.
That's right. All right, Chief.
Thank you, Lugo. God bless you.
Take care. Blessings.
Thank you for listening. We hope that you've gained something from this episode that will empower you to become a more effective leader. If you'd like to connect with us, please do so via our website at leadershipandforesight.org. The book So You Want to Be the Chief is available on Amazon.com and on Apple Books. This podcast is powered by the Institute for Leadership and Strategic Foresight.